for staying with us. You're watching our very own Locked Up Abroad. We're here with Ruben Simpson and we'll be looking at his life here in Jamaica. Ruben, tell us, when you finally got to Jamaica, give us your experience of how did you cope?
Then I got here and it was what I would call inhumane compared to what I've seen before.
Describe the environment, the prison environment that you were placed in when you got here to Jamaica.
Okay, it's just like it just looks like a lot of stone, and there's like a grill for the bars, and there's like 4 to 5 guys in one cell, and there's one board bed, like not like a bunk bed, just one board bed, and one person,
bed and 5 inmates.
Yeah, only one person sleeps on the bed when it's time to sleep. But like in the daytime, you might have 2 people sitting on each side of the bed, and other people stay on the floor. They give you a 2-liter soda bottle to cut a hole in. This is where you're going to use the bathroom at, because they only let you out in the morning to go take a shower and use the bathroom. The bathroom is like a block with a hole in it. You stand on top of it if you have to like move your bowels, and you're in front of everybody, and there's like a pipe with water that just comes out, and you get about 10 minutes and then you go back in. Everybody in there, as far as like the inmates, they kind of understood the situation when I got in there, because they noticed I didn't speak anything and they were actually calling me a
So
German.
did you converse with the inmates?
Yeah, I conversed though. They actually made the 6 days okay. They made me, I was very antsy. I wanted to get out of there, and
were these all Jamaican inmates?
All Jamaican inmates, and they basically just was telling me to hang in there, you know, I'm almost through, you know, I'm almost there, be out there in no time. And 6 days later, I finally got out. They just came and opened the door and called me out.
Here we are in Red Hills, where we can see a very beautiful landscape of Kingston behind us.
Very beautiful.
And most of these areas, you can possibly pinpoint areas that you have moved. You've moved from one place to another, from the airport all the way back to where you are now.
I really didn't know exactly where I was, but I paid attention to the road, and I remember they let me out in the immigration office in Halfway Tree, Constant Spring Road, and I remember passing I just spotted it out over here, a new bus terminal that they have where all the buses meet at. Well, it wasn't finished yet, so it was like still in the making when I first got here, which is done now. But they dropped me off there, so that's the first scene I took in, which got to see the culture and the people outside selling and how everything really is. Because when I first got off the plane, all I took in was the beach and the water and the palm trees, the coconut trees and stuff like that, and it kind of took me out of the reality of the situation that I'm in, actually. And it was like it was peaceful. And then when I got to the jail itself, it was a wake up, because I didn't see anything anymore. When
you got dropped off at Halfway Tree, did you have anyone, a family member or anyone that come and meet with you?
I have no family here. You know, the person that came to receive me when I first got here, I never knew them. It was my first time knowing them.
You have been here for 4 years.
Right.
You've got Jamaican citizenship now.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you are Jamaican? Do you feel like you're a Jamaican citizen?
No. There's a handful of people that draw to me. They want to know about where I come from, right? And the same other crowd that's also curious, that wants to know, is keeping their ears open. They tell the people that don't judge me for anything. They try to divert them by saying, "Oh, he's a deportee and has nothing," like things of that nature. I went to a school down here, right, just to have something to do, and the treatment like I was getting in the school from the teachers, meaning like I can't understand the language fluently, and normally the teachers speak with good English, and now I'm going to this night class and the teacher seems to talk very hard patois.
Right, okay.
And I would have to always say, ask him to repeat, and he wouldn't want to repeat, and it would be like funny, you know, it'd be a joke, and when I say something to him, he acts like he doesn't understand what I'm saying either. When I go into the office to look about my tuition and school fee and stuff like that, I would be put in a corner and say, wait there, and everybody else is coming and dealing with the same thing I'm dealing with, and about 10 students are coming and be dealt with while I'm still sitting there. It's like they felt like I already had an opportunity to go somewhere, because what people fail to realize is I never left here.
So you were judged long before you had a chance to say what the situation was.
It was the same thing with work. I had to find a job when I first got here, and contact some people that were close to my family that were also from down here, and they had family members down here that had a business. So I was able to obtain my first job, right? And I was working at a ladies' department store, and most of my coworkers I would get along with, but in the beginning, but after a while, it's like because they would be forcing me to say talk patois. They don't want to hear me talking like that because it attracts the customers to me, and everybody hears me speaking proper, and they don't feel like I'm from here. They say in front of my coworkers, "Oh, this is your family store," or "Oh, you travel back and forth. This is my store." And I tell them, "No, it's not my store," and I'll be honest and I say, "No, I just work here." But then they minding. It's not their business really, nobody speaking to them, but they say, "Oh, he's a deportee," and stuff like that, and that's very embarrassing.
Of course, yes.
Right, and it's people from all walks of life that come there and shop, and I started building certain relationships with people, customers, and I just didn't come out and just say I was deported. I would have to build up for that, but then other people would basically make me have to. I was 27 years old when I came here. And where I was living, basically, they didn't want me to do anything. They wanted me to just stay put on the veranda, and they tell me you get robbed if you go here, and if you go to the shop, they'll take your money there, and like they was trying to put fear in me. But like I'm not gonna say I don't like being told what to do, but I don't like to be controlled in that way because I just finished doing X amount of years of people giving me orders.
Telling you what to do, yeah.
Right, and then I'm also living in a house with two young boys, one 8 years old and one like 13 years old, and the parent for the house is watching me more than the children, and it's like I couldn't really deal with it. I didn't have any identification, and so I had to get other people to pick up my money for me, and that used to be a problem because I couldn't go pick up on Western Union until I got my identification. So it really didn't go so good. It was like the welcoming was fine, but we ended up falling out, and I ended up leaving. I found a place to rent. In the first place I go to rent, the landlord, it wasn't really a real landlord. It was somebody posing as a landlord. And I gave him 3 months rent in advance so I can be okay, because the area was all right. And I didn't want to go anywhere bad because I didn't know anything about here and I didn't know anybody. And because of how I talk, people hear my accent and they automatically think money, and really they're wrong. There's no money. I'm like in a worse situation than them sometimes. And about a month and a week later, some people came from America and they just barged right into my place. Like, they didn't even knock or anything. They just barged right in because the door wasn't locked, and they looked stunned. And they asked me, "What am I doing here?" And I told them I rent the place, and I showed them my key, and I showed them my receipt. And they're like, no, this is our place, and we don't know anything of this. And I'm telling them the guy on the receipt, and they said I need to take that up with him, but I need to find somewhere to go fast because they're selling their place, and I couldn't find the guy that rented me the place. So that was like my first time having my shirt pulled over my eyes, or like I got. That's where I was living at. It was a lot of beg you this, beg you that, beg you this, beg you that. I really didn't like it. I don't have no problem saying no, but I noticed that when I say no all the time, people's feelings get hurt. And they feel like you diss them, or if you don't say hi to people, sometimes they feel like you diss them. So I was dealing with a lot of sensitive people.
When you look at this picturesque landscape of overlooking Kingston now, when you look at Jamaica as a whole to be a paradise island as it was described, or have been described, what are some of the really disturbing things that you have witnessed since you've been here?
The violence, the poverty. Like on TV, they just show you the beaches and the nice trees and the resorts and the grill. I haven't really been to the grill, so this hasn't been a vacation. A lot of people think on the phone, "Oh, you're at beach and sunny and trees," and no, I haven't really experienced that. I've experienced what they don't show the world on TV.
Anything specific that you've seen? Any
I've lived where I lived at the tenant in my house that lives in the front. The husband was tied up and the wife was raped all night while I was in my house, not knowing. A lot of murders right in the same place where I live at, where I would have to walk home at night from work. A lot of the whole Christopher Koch thing, like, and everything in a state of emergency, and I never experienced those things before, ever.
What would you say to anyone, any Caribbean national or anyone who is, for instance, of a Caribbean nationality who is actually in the United States or abroad illegally, who don't think that they could possibly get caught?
You can get caught. And it wasn't like I couldn't go back. You know what I mean? A lot of people come and a lot of people leave, and everybody said, just go back, pay the money and go back. It's worthless, it's pointless, and it's a waste of money, because anything you do wrong over there, you will get caught. So if you sneak over there, you will get caught. Eventually, or you're going to have to hide, and you can't do anything like how they told me here. I won't be able to work or do anything. And somebody's going to say you're from a different island or whatever, and they're going to come for you. You're going to get caught. Like, I don't know. I guess growing up, becoming more mature, doing wrong nothing good comes out of wrong. And like, I notice everybody says, oh no, Jamaica could never change. I'm the only one that has a different view of that. Most of the people I'm around, and I want to still show them that it can change. It's like I want to leave a mark here. You know, that's my whole. I came here for a reason, even though it was a wrong reason and it was a mix-up. I try to look at it and say, all right, God put me here for a reason. This situation happened to me for a reason, and now I'm saying I want to leave a mark, a positive mark. So like everybody that I do come across, and when I'm dead and gone, or when I go somewhere else, I have more hope now, a lot more hope, because I chose to tell my story. When I go through the story over and over in my own head, and I look at everything that happened, and I break it down to where I was born and how things should be, it just has to be heard. Like I said, only a few people heard it. So the more people I can get to hear it, the better outcome. Yeah. So I need to get as much people involved so that I can open back up the case, maybe appeal.
I would actually love to maybe speak to the family about the possibility of what we could do to try to bring him back to the United States.
I'm sure
I think it's unfair.
I mean, just so we're absolutely clear on this, and we are going to reiterate this a few times, but as parents are green card holders, would you classify this gentleman to be a Jamaican citizen?
Well, I mean, I think the difference with him, okay, if the parents were U.S. citizens, and I believe off camera we had talked a little bit and someone had suggested that maybe one of the parents might have naturalized and become a U.S. citizen. I would need to know when that happened. But I mean, if the parents are green card holders, typically you're not a U.S. citizen if you're a child born to those parents, unless you naturalize and you become a U.S. citizen prior to the child's 18th birthday. But if you were born on U.S. soil, then there's an argument to be made that you are truly a U.S. citizen because of the place of your birth, because you were born while your father was in the service of his country.
And as you have just recently brought back someone to the United States.
I have. I'm very proud of it.
Do you think that this is a case that is worth further investigation?
I would absolutely be willing to do that. I think it's a juicy case. And as the one where I went back down to Jamaica, which I didn't actually tell the story. I don't know if we have any more time for me to do this.
By all means,
well, basically what had happened was I was sitting in a woman's kitchen, like last November, actually. And I was introduced to her. She was the relative of a friend of mine. And I was just talking to her, and she was saying to me, oh my gosh, I wish that, she said, in Jamaica, and it's a pity we never know you before them send back deport Junior back to the country. So I said to her, you know, I'm sorry, so tell me what happened. And then she started telling me about what happened, and I said to her, you know, I'm listening to your story, and your grandson is a U.S. citizen. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, your grandson is a U.S. citizen. Even though he was born in Jamaica, he got his citizenship from his mother, who's a U.S. citizen. And I kept going over, and I said to her, not only am I going to believe God, that I'm going to prove that he's a citizen, but I'm going to go to Jamaica and bring him back. And she didn't believe me. She was in tears when I said that. And then, I mean, long story short, you know, everything worked out, and I was able to go back and bring him. And that's what happened.
And did you come across any legal complications or obstacles or technicalities that
I physically had to go down for him because what happened was I knew they were going to give me a hard time at the airport. When I got to Jamaica and I picked up his U.S. passport, I made the mistake of connecting through Miami. Never connect through Miami. Because I did it because the flight was cheap and I was trying to get him back into the U.S. Did the connection. They scanned the passport. Immediately they realized that he was deported. Took us into a room and I said, I'm not leaving without him. They didn't want me to go in and I showed my attorney ID and I had one difficult time. Finally, I went in the room with him. I had to argue with every single official in the room. They told me there's no way somebody gets deported and comes back. I said he's a U.S. citizen. I proved that he was, and that's why he's here. And it took us literally about 3 hours in that room. Missed my connecting flight. Till finally an officer, when I took all the documentation out of my file, showed them the mother's citizenship certificate, showed them the paperwork that I sent to the embassy, they finally said, well, son, thank your lawyer. Welcome back to the United States.
But surely, as great as that sounds, but surely this must be an expensive process.
I didn't charge them
what do we
anything.
say to the families who have got?
It was funny because I felt like this woman who had been wronged for so long. I mean, she basically had paid lawyers after lawyer to go bring her son back, and everyone's robbed her money, and she didn't get anything out of it. So the Lord basically touched my heart, and I did it for her pro bono.
I must commend you on that as a case. It's in itself.
Thank you very much.
That someone can actually go beyond the boundaries and actually look deeper into a case rather than just look at the very top end of it.
Yeah, no. But that's what, as an attorney, that's what we're trained to do, and we're supposed to examine, especially before we take monies from our clients.
This might point back to an organization like your own, or to someone like yourself. But what are the channels that someone like Ruben, specifically for this case, could actually venture down that avenue to get more information and to be properly informed and to be properly represented?
Okay. Well, I mean, the Jamaican American Bar is formed to really address the needs of Jamaican nationals here in the United States and in Jamaica. So that is one source. I mean, we have tons of attorneys that are part of our group, and this is our first year. In fact, we're doing our big Black Tie Awards dinner on November 20th, and the ambassador from Jamaica is going to be, Audrey Marks is going to be our keynote speaker, and so is the Consul General, who's Genevieve Brown-Metzger from New York, is going to be coming over as well. So, he can go on the website. It's www.jabane.org. That's the website address for the Jamaican American Bar Association. There are attorneys there that there are several of us that do immigration law. I would absolutely be willing to work with the family to see if there's anything that I can do to help.
Just for the families, for the friends, for the relatives, for the deportees themselves, if you could, what advice would you give to anyone in a similar situation as Ruben's?
Well, I would say to pray. That's the first thing. I'm a woman of God. I know Christ. I've been a Christian for as long as, as long as I have known myself. So that's the first thing. But the important thing is to seek legal counsel. You have to get an attorney who's willing to work with you. Someone who's experienced, who's been doing this stuff for a very long time, and is, knows what they're doing. And don't be willing to just take all of your life savings and hand it over to lawyers because they say that they have experience. Check them out first before you hand over the monies. I think you really should, because there are people out there who are unscrupulous characters and will steal your money, and not do any work for you, as with the case of the mother of the young man that I brought back from Jamaica. So I would say just, work with someone who's experienced, who knows what they're doing, who's, has a very good reputation as an attorney, and see what happens. And sometimes you might be successful.
What are the statistics, say an average, for instance, of cases do you represent as it relates to deportation?
I'd say probably in my practice, probably about 80% of my practice is deportation.
And what percentage of that would you say was successful?
Probably about 75%.
75 out of 80%?
Out of 80%. I've actually taken people off planes. I had 2 cases where immigration had booked tickets for the clients to go back to Jamaica. Actually, both of them were Jamaicans, and they had airline tickets that were booked. And I was able to work with my staff, and I would get a stay of removal from the immigration judge or from the Board of Immigration Appeals. You can become a U.S. citizen if you've been a green card holder for at least 5 years. If you're married to a U.S. citizen for 3 years. But I just think that we have to, as Caribbean nationals, really just be aware that we represent the Caribbean, and we should try to come here and try to do the best we can. I mean, raise our children to be respectable, citizens of this country, and try to abide by the law. I mean, it's important to do that. Breaking the law really doesn't, help. I mean, it really doesn't, and all it does is it'll get you deported, because the judges have a mandate. They took an oath to be fair and to be non-prejudicial, and they have to basically rule and make decisions across the board for all people. And they just weigh the facts, and they look at each person's individual situation, and they can't, discriminate against you because you're from the Caribbean. They're not allowed to do that. I mean, I'm sure in the past people who've tried that never got away with it. I would just want to say to him that I'm really sorry about what happened to you, Ruben. I wish I were there. I really do, because I do practice in Pennsylvania. It's my understanding that that's where you were ordered removed from. If I'd known about your case, I would have been there to help you. Believe me, I would. Unfortunately, I didn't know about it at the time. But I would say just keep your chin up, and let me just see if I can get some information about your case, and maybe speak to your parents and see if there's any way that we can bring you back. And just pray. Read the word on a daily basis and believe God and pray. Okay, and we'll see what happens. I can't make promises because I need to hear all the details of exactly what the situation is with this case, and obviously do research to find case law that says that nationals born on the soil, if they're outside the United States the United States, the country of the United States, are considered United States citizen. I definitely need to do research on that. And then once I can find some case law, then we're bringing you back. I'm anxious to work with your this gentleman to see if I can have the same results for him. This is my absolute pleasure to be here. The staff here is just absolutely professional. We've had a wonderful time. To reach me, you can actually call me. If you're calling from the United States, we have a toll-free number from my office, which is 1-866-569-9887. My offices are located at 972 Broad Street on the 8th floor in Newark, New Jersey, 07102. And I also have an office, which is where we are right now, at 65 North Dean Street in Englewood, New Jersey. If you need to call me on my cell phone, please don't everyone call me all the time, but I do give it out. But it's 201-966-7119, only for the emergency cases, please. And you're watching our very own Locked Up Abroad.
Let's share the Caribbean legacy, one story at a time. Reporting from the York County Correctional Facility here in Pennsylvania, I'm Julius J. Levy, and you're watching our very own Locked Up Abroad.